Hello. It is 12:30 and I am very excited to be talking to Michael, who is the guy who's been cutting my hair for over a year, and it's so great to be talking from a different perspective because I normally have conversations with colleagues, doctors, other specialists in the field. But I thought it would be quite nice to get a different perspective from someone who has been styling, cutting hair for a really long time and someone who I respect quite a lot and trust with my own hair. So I'm just going to wait for Michael to join. Hi, everyone. I hope you're all having a good Friday. I know that it's an odd time and a lot of you message saying that you've got prior commitments like sports day for your little kiddies, but this will be saved on my page. So if you do miss parts of it or all of it, you can catch up to later today or tomorrow or whenever you like. Hi, everyone. So lovely to see so many of you. I'm just going to wait for Michael to join. How is everyone? Yeah, so we're going to be talking about hair care outside of the medical regime because a lot of what I talk about is stuff that you might sort of want to treat something. But sometimes it is nice to look at hair care from a different perspective where things you can do at home. I think Michael's just joined. Let's hopefully this works. Okay, let's see. Can you guys hear me? Let me just try one more thing. Let's try again. It sometimes does this, and it's like a little bit of a lag time between joining and it going live. So let's see. Um, Not sure why it's not working. Oh, let me just wait for him to join again. I think he's trying to. Oh, this might work this time. Technology is so annoying. Here we go.
Hello,
Hi, how are you?
very well. How are you?
I'm good. For a second, I thought we were going to have some trouble there, but
Uh,
we managed.
there's always a bit of tech trouble.
Yes. Well, I hope you're well on this sunny Friday.
Yes,
I
all
was
good.
just,
Thank you. Your hair looks great.
oh, thank you. Thanks to you. I was just telling everyone, giving a little bit of background as to why this chat is so important. And obviously, you've been cutting my hair for over a year now. We've had a
Yeah,
few haircuts, and every time we end up having quite interesting conversations about hair care, scalp care. So I didn't, I thought it would be a good idea to bring you on and chat about what you think about it, because I think your perspective is very different to mine and some of my colleagues,
mm,
as you can imagine. And you've got a series of products that you also offer in your salon, and I have tried many of them, and I wanted to see what you think about how I use them and how some of the people on the page might have some questions about hair care at home.
yes. Well, we can talk about scalp care first, and I think the scalp is the forgotten extension of the face. It's the same skin further
Yeah,
up,
yeah.
and people are very educated to look after their face, the skin, cleansing, exfoliating, but tend to forget what's further up, and even more so the 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 build up of product, the build up of excess sebaceous glands, can get clogged between the hairs, and shampooing alone may not dislodge that and may not cleanse the scalp properly. So for most people, it's about going up a grade in scalp care.
So what sort of things do you see when what sort of signs do you see when you talk about build up on the scalp? Because that's something I think I suffer from, because I use quite a lot of products and things, and can forget to really clarify the scalp and exfoliate. What sort of problems do you see?
Well, for most people will have bacteria in the scalp biome. Those bacteria can they can party on excess sugars. They're often yeast-based bacteria, and that can exacerbate scalp problems. You could have overactive sebaceous glands producing too much sebum. As the skin regenerates, it will create flakiness, which doesn't necessarily fall away because it's trapped within the hairs, and so that can build up. And so people then start to notice flakiness on the scalp, on their clothing. If that's not treated, for some people that can become more endemic, so it can become angrier. So you'll have red patches, you can get seborrheic dermatitis, and then those become things which are a little bit harder to treat and more expert help. But just keeping the scalp regularly cleansed tends to keep all those issues away.
Yes, I mean, so the other extreme that I see is seborrheic dermatitis, eyebrows, lash line, even the back. So, I think sort of prevention and managing it is better than cure. I always say is better than cure.
Yes.
And how often? So a question I get asked a lot is, and I know this varies, from individual to individual, but how often should someone with a flaky scalp, wash their hair?
So I think there's a lot of misunderstanding about washing hair, and I think one of the most common misunderstandings is that it's bad to wash your hair too much. It's bad for the hair. People think that the scalp's producing oils, and those oils are there to cover the hair and protect them. Well, the oils from the scalp do not get that far down your hair. They may get within the first inch, but they're not going to go any further than that.
The longer length.
No. So it's not about looking after the lengths of your hair.
Right.
And people misunderstand that if they're washing their hair too often, the washing is actually drying their hair out. Right. That would only be true if you're using very poor quality products, or very liquid on your hair, which you really shouldn't. But it's mainly the drying process that's the problem.
Right.
So
styling.
If you're heat styling your hair 7 times a week, that's going to do a lot more damage than heat styling it once or twice a week.
Sure.
And this is the issue. So it's not the frequency of washing. And I say for most people, some people can get away with washing their hair less frequently. They're very lucky. But for most people, pretty much every other day is a general guide.
So someone like me, I work out a lot. I sweat a lot. On a weekly basis. I wash my hair. I would say I try to limit to about 3 times a week, twice a week usually. But how could I like, as you know, I like to style my hair as well. So we've talked about, washing your hair frequently can help that build up using products that are, suitable for your scalp. But how can I prevent, the damage? I know that stopping styling is one of them, or reducing the heat styling is one of them. But how can I protect my hair that little bit more if I am someone who washes my hair a lot?
Well, again, people need to understand that hair, once it's on the outside of the scalp, is no longer connected to the metabolism. It cannot get regenerated by the body like skin can. So once that's out of the scalp, long hair, like your own, at the tips will be, for your hair, about 3 years long. The tips of your hair have gone through 3 years of your lifestyle. Now, all of those things are taken out of the hair, and people don't think that they need to put back. And hair's a very tough material. It's very tough, but it's not indestructible. And so what happens is that without constantly feeding the hair goodness back in, which certain products will do, you're constantly taking out. So the hair starts at the root full and supple. And actually, I'll show a look. I've got my cards there. It starts at the root full and supple. It's at its most complete. The surface cuticle is laying flat, and this is an illustration here. So at the root area here, this hair here illustrates a very complete hair shaft. The scales are laying flat, the cuticle. As it grows, it starts to thin down, and then the cuticles start to lift, and that lifting is the roughness you feel at the end, where maybe hair becomes harder to comb through. But you can slow that process down to the point where most of the hair is retained and it stays supple and shiny. On this side, there's been no care. The hair has thinned down very quickly to the point where at this level, it's very fragile, and under pressure of styling, combing, instead of flexing and flexing back, the hair will snap. And that's where you get the breakage, where you lose hair from it breaking completely, but you also lose hair from the thinning process. If you feel the tips of your hair, you've got particularly good hair, and it's very thick. But even with your hair, if you felt the hair at the root and then the same hair at the tips, you'd notice the thinning. The hair
so it starts off luscious, and as you go towards the tip, it thins out. And that's what we feel when we feel like we need a haircut. We feel like we need to give it some TLC.
Yes, the straight.
So I believe in a pre-wash treatment, and I know that, I don't know, I can't remember if it was you that I was speaking to at the salon, but I love doing pre-wash treatments. So, you know, trying to, because I'm someone who washes my hair quite frequently, and I know that you've got a product that I think it's called the Intense Pre-Wash Treatment, the Lifesaver, which is the gold bottle. And I cannot recommend.
And that's the Intense version, the gold version.
So this stuff is so good, and I say to people who come to me with dry hair that, you know, doing a pre-wash treatment, and correct me if I'm wrong, is almost like reverse washing. So you're protecting the distal strands from extra hydral fatigue or, you know, extra washing. So your hair isn't getting overwashed at the tips, and you're protecting it, and you're also nourishing it at the same time. Is that right?
Yes, it's absolutely that. But also the key is that the key ingredients in the product penetrate deeply into the hair shaft, and that's why it can sustain the shampoo after. The shampoo doesn't take it all off. Most of the hair masks that have come to the market in the last 20 years, and the word mask has become a niche in hair care, they're nothing more than glorified conditioners. And that's why you have to put them on after the wash, because otherwise they would just be washed away. They just sit on the surface. Something that's on the surface will give it an element of protection. Conditioner is very important. But the idea of the pre-wash is that you're going deep into the hair shaft, repairing bonds and voids that have opened up, keeping the hair held together for longer. So you slow down the thinning process.
So you know, your particular product, and like many others that I've used as a pre-wash treatment for the lengths of my hair, I apply it to dry hair, and that's the right way to do it, right?
Which is also so much easier for people, and that's what you find. You know, who wants to wash their hair, put a treatment on, and then find something to do for 15-20 minutes without your clothes on in the shower, and or just too fiddly, and so people don't stick to a regular regime. The thing about the pre-wash, goes on dry hair, you comb it through, you can tie it back if you want, leave it there,
up in a pony,
go to bed, whatever. It's a 1 minute process, and it's done, and then you just wait until you wash it.
So washing hair frequently is not a problem, providing you're using good products, and you're not using, you know, stripping products that are stripping the hair of goodness. Using a pre-wash treatment,
pre-wash, Absolutely, and not over heat styling,
And not over
aggressive, not aggressively heat
Yeah.
styling.
Yeah, and obviously heat protection, if you are like me and love styling hair and can't go without it, you know, heat protector always. Do you have any thoughts about heat protectors?
Well, we've for a long time had elements in our products which give some heat protection, but we've not had a specialized product until what's coming out this month, and we have quite an amazing blow dry balm which combines the elements of things like Lifesaver with the key ingredients with heat protecting elements from natural sources, and it's been quite an astounding product in its testing. The people that have used the product are desperate for it to be launched because it is unlike anything else, and it's took about 4 to 5 years to develop this product, and we're expecting to have it out this month, and that's called Eureka.
It's called Eureka.
It is.
Oh, amazing. I've seen you secretly pop some balm on my hair.
Yeah.
Is that by any chance that stuff?
Well,
Yes,
that's the thing.
I
We test everything ourselves, and we test it over a very long period. So clients are used to, having strange pops from the lab, and we're just sort of seeing how things work, playing with it, so that we can report back to the lab for adjustments.
Yeah. So I look forward to that product then. So we've talked about washing. We've talked about, now let's just go back a bit to scalp care.
Yes.
I know you've added to your range. I don't know when you launched some new products. Forgive me, I've forgotten the timeline. But you have got an exfoliating scalp treatment. Now, how would someone use, and I'll show it now because I'm really interested. I haven't tried this one, I have to say. I am somebody who has flaky scalp, especially around the fronts of my hair, and this is something I'm really interested in. So how does this work?
I've got one that comes with an applicator as well.
I've got that
easy.
as well. Yeah.
This is a great product, and this one was another one we took a while to develop. And what's lovely about this is that it's based on natural alpha hydroxy acids. It comes from fruit enzymes.
Right.
It doesn't have anything physical to scratch the scalp, or
so no beads, no clay, none of that.
No filling the ocean with beads, no
plastic bits, no silicone.
Apricot to scratch the scalp.
No apricot.
No silicones. No, this is fruit enzymes. The sort of thing that will be used in very high quality skincare as well. And
so
this
just to explain to everyone, so AHAs, they hear me talk about AHAs for skin all the time. So they are acids, but not harsh acids. They're good acids that help break down
from fruit.
These are all natural, and they help break down the bonds between the clingy things that cling onto the skin and the dead skin cells, and just help them almost slough away.
They just dissolve them. The dead skin cells and the flakiness that's on the scalp, they'll just dissolve them away, and then they rebalance the scalp. And this is a great product to use. You could use this once a week, and then in between we have the shampoo that goes with that, which is the exfoliating shampoo. But that's actually become a lot of people's favorite shampoo. When we first launched it, we said, use it once or twice in between using the treatment. So many of our clients, and myself too, that's just the product I use all the time for shampooing. It's just such a nice product. Lovely shampoo, and again, very naturally based.
Yeah, and I do like that. And is that suitable for all hair types?
All hair types, because it's gentle on the scalp, and it will cleanse and dissolve excess build-up, cleanse away excess products, but it also strengthens the hair, which is an important part of all of our products.
Yeah.
And for people with very thick hair, especially with wavy hair, this is a very useful brush to use. A lot of people, when they shampoo their own hair, they don't quite get the scalp, the fingertips in to properly massage. Some tend to skirt around, and so the scalp doesn't fully get cleansed. This does the job for you, and it's actually such a nice feel.
And I quite like that. And I've come across many of these, and I just want to tell everyone that and my husband had one for a while that he was using, and I chucked out, much to his disagreement. But the spikes have to be soft, okay? Just like our fingers, because these are not to be hard, because what you don't want to do is scrub your scalp with a really firm, you know, the whole point of these products is that they don't have bits of plastic in them. So the last thing you want to do is scrub your scalp. These are really extremely soft. So if you're going to get one, you know, get one that is really soft. I can literally, you know, push it against my scalp and it's not doing any damage, which is really important. And I love this.
But also for scalp health, it's not just about when it's being washed. You know, these brushes people use when they're watching TV to give themselves a scalp.
Circulation.
It gets the blood going, you know, gets oxygen back to the scalp. You know, it's a very useful product to have.
Yeah, no, I've got 2 daughters and they love this sort of stuff. It's very sensorial. It's very nice for them to do to each other, and I get them to do it for me. And it's a really relaxing process, which a lot of self-care should be. So we've talked about scalp exfoliation. We'll talk about washing, protecting. I wanted to talk a little bit about UV protection now, which is obviously hot topic. And I have to admit, I am terrible with UV protection. I've got a lot of hair, but of course, people who, you know, have, but even, you know, you could have quite a wide parting and you could be in the sun. You've forgotten to put UV protection on your scalp. Do you have any thoughts about that?
Well, it is important, and it's very important for people with finer hair because the sun is very strong. We know that ozone levels change and we get less protection from certain rays, and, you know, scalps can burn easily. But even more important, what often people don't know, because the scalp they'll feel, but the hair is being damaged severely by sun without protection. And this is an area that we've put a lot of work into over the years, creating wearable UV protection for hair. Because when I started out developing products, the only choice was very heavy oils to put on them, which, you know, a little bit suspect anyway to heat up oil on your hair. But, you know, you ended up having to wear an oil slick or a hat. So
nothing much in between.
Much choice. People wanted to wear their hair like they wanted to wear it, but know that it would be protected.
But not,
so that's how we developed our products.
So which one would you recommend from your range? Is it, because I get asked about, you know, what UV product would you use for the hair? Like, which one would you recommend? Is there a leave-in one at the moment?
Yeah, our key product is Lifesaver UV, and that's a product which people can use to give beachy effects on their hair. If they put this on and let their hair dry naturally, it will turn frizzy hair smooth. It will control hair. It will dry beautifully. If you want to style the hair to blow dry it smooth, you would use a bit less, but it's still very protective and hydrating for the hair. But I use this as well because my hair's big if I don't put some of this on. I literally wash it, put it on, comb it, leave it, don't do anything.
Really?
It's quite an amazing.
How much would you use of it? So obviously when we talk about skin SPF and UV protection, we talk about certain quantities. So
if you had, say, wavy frizzy hair and you wanted to get a beachy effect, or hair like yours, beachy effect on holiday, you could actually put loads on. You could even wet it from dry with this product and just let it dry. If you were if you wanted to style it with a brush or tongs, on your hair you put a couple of teaspoons on.
Okay.
Because you want a smooth effect. You don't want too much product that isn't absorbed. Whereas on wavy hair, it can take a lot more product because it tends to be more porous. It will absorb more, and some on the surface keep the waves smooth. But that's one of our hero products. But then in between, we also have our best-selling shampoo and conditioner, which are also UV protective. So these have similar ingredients for UV protection as the Lifesaver UV.
But obviously applying something on top is always best, isn't it?
Yes, and I think because we've had so much success with these products and the UV ingredients that we've been using, we have actually started to put them in other products. So this one also, the Ultra that you have, that has that UV protection as well. We're starting to bring it into more and more of our products.
And because people will ask, with the Lifesaver UV, do you find, like, if people want to go into the water, you know, does it sort of hold up quite well?
If you were going swimming after putting that in, some will stay in the hair, but I would reapply.
Reapply, just like you would.
If you're out for a long swim, you know, there's no oil in the product. They're not oil-based product. There are no sticky plastics to hang on to the hair. It's a very natural product. The hair will absorb a lot of it, but some of the excess will rinse off. So in strong sun and lots of swimming, I would reapply. I'll show you a couple of the tests that we did with this one. The earliest test I did with Lifesaver UV was in the Maldives, and that was with 2 wefts of hair. These were from one piece, cut in half, and this was a 7-day test with these wefts left in the sun, and only this one protected with Lifesaver UV. So they were left out in the sun for 7 days, and seawater was poured on once a day. And by the end of day 7, you can see how much paler, how much more faded, how much weaker this hair is from the sun and the wind. And then we repeated the test a few years after that in the Negev desert with pool water, no seawater, just pool water. And this we used a dark wet, again cut in half. And you can see the colour difference. And that's just day 7. And that's what a lot of people don't appreciate, how strong the sun is. And especially if they have their hair coloured. You know, you can take brown to orange very quickly in the sun. And you can take...
I can confirm that.
You can take golden blonde to over ash blonde, starting borderline khaki. Without protection.
Really, really quickly.
That with swimming.
No, and so this isn't just about, obviously we want to protect our hair, but if you are someone like me who colours hair and treats it with lots of products and stuff that to change the hair itself, then it is obviously really, really important that you protect it in the sun. Okay, so I think we should bring to a close now. It's been so great, as usual, chatting to you, and I'm sure people are going to have plenty of questions for me. But I think just to sort of close, I wanted to touch on one concept, and that is scalp oiling. And you kind of mentioned oils a little bit, but I wanted to know your thoughts, because being Indian, we have a lot of like cultural, methods, and one of them is oiling our scalp and hair. Now, I don't personally oil my scalp. I oil the actual lengths of my hair sometimes, and I do that for my daughters as well. But what are your thoughts about oiling the scalp?
It depends on the oil. You know, I know there are lots of traditional practices with things like neem oil, argan type oils. I don't have enough knowledge of the full effects on scalp for that, but I can appreciate that some of those natural methods may be very effective.
Well, I think that when we talk about flaky scalp in particular, from a medical perspective, we don't recommend oiling the scalp itself from a medical perspective. But
because of clogging.
It's counterproductive, really. So what we say is, if you do want to do an oil massage, then just focus on the strands, and can be quite an effective pre-wash treatment as well. But somebody asked about oils, which is why I think it's important to mention.
Could I say on the hair, I think there's a slight misconception, and it's the same with siliconized products. You can put oil on hair. Hair's not made of oil. Hair's made essentially of keratin, protein, and water. You can put oil on the hair, and if the hair is rough, it will sit on the surface and make the hair appear smooth. Modern technology can do that with plastic. It can do it with silicone. You're not actually affecting the structure of the hair as such. You're not feeding into the structure. You're creating a cosmetic effect on the surface, which will soften the hair and make it appear smooth and appear shiny.
Which is what a lot of the frizz oils do and stuff?
Yes. So whilst that can be useful, there are some oils which are temporarily helpful, but long term not, because they're hydrophobic.
Yeah.
And most of the issues with hair decaying
Yes.
and going from full and supple to thin and brittle are a succession of dehydration moments. Dehydration moments caused by sun, overwashing, over drying. All of these dehydration moments take water out of the hair, the protein structure becomes unstable and it breaks down a little, the hair shrinks. Another dehydration moment. So a lot of the products on the market, like silicons, like some of the oil-based products, are actually dehydrating the hair. Not on the day, because you think the hair's healthier, but long term, they can lead the hair to become more brittle and thinner quicker.
Gosh,
water is an essential part of all of our health, but also very much for hair.
Yeah.
Push the water out and it ages quicker.
Yes, absolutely, which is what a lot of like sun and being in the water does to our hair.
And that's why the treatments can be seen like moisturizers. You know, the Lifesaver is like a moisturizer for the hair, and then you have SPF elements, which are protection for UV rays as well. But that constant rehydrating is very important within a lifestyle, because hair's around for a long time. You know, it's there for years. It needs constant feeding.
Yes, it needs nourishing, just like every other part of our body.
Exactly.
Well, Michael, it has been an absolute pleasure, and thank you for coming on here and chatting to me. And I think that the products from your range that I've tried are fab, and I'll be linking them in my stories. But thank you so much. And
my pleasure. Thank you.
I hope to see you soon.
See you soon. Thank you.
Thank
Bye
you.
for now.
Bye. Bye.